Hi all, we're going to get started on video 14, I believe, of Unit 2. So we just finished up intramembranous and endochondral ossification. Now that we have these bones, we had our templates, either our fibrous connective tissue or our hyaline cartilage template. We've now made it into bone, and now we want to see, now that we have these bones made, how do we grow them? So let's look at the growth of a long bone. We're going to look at length and width. So I had this template and it's become bone. We won't go through those processes. You can rewatch those videos, but you should remember that we have an epiphyseal plate, two epiphyseal plates. And this is separating the epiphyses and the diaphyses. So I'm going to blow this up over here and show this epiphyseal plate, which is this hyaline cartilage remaining after our ossification processes. And these are going to have chondrocytes, right? These cartilage cells. And right now we're doing growth and length of a bone. So these chondrocytes on the diaphyseal side of this epiphyseal plate, so this is like up here, and this layer is down here. I'm going to have division of these chondrocytes, so they'll divide a few times. And what that's going to do, it's going to push the plate up that way and push this plate down that way. So division on this diaphyseal side is going to push this plate that way and push the plate that way when the chondrocytes on this side divide. So we get extension of this plate, so we get this growth. All right, if my bone was this long, and remember everything's compact or spongy bone at this point, but then we get a growth, so I'll grow it a little bit. This will grow just a little bit. So my plate looks like it's maintaining that same size. And then underneath that I have this, at the bottom of the plate on the diaphyseal side of each side, I have this extra layer of chondrocytes. So after a few divisions, you can see this whole template has gotten bigger. Now remember, the portions of the bone are still the same size, because this is all bone, this is all bone, this is all bone. But now we have this extra space of cartilage here and this extra space of cartilage here. If you remember from endochondral ossification, we'll have some processes occur. So eventually, we'll get one more division, why not? Eventually these cells, and remember, these are dividing this way. So this layer of cells would divide a new layer, and it would push it up, and then these would divide into a new layer, and it would push this up. So eventually you're going to have this bottom layer, this older layer of chondrocytes. So those are going to die. When those die, so I can just erase that there, when that dies, osteoblasts are going to do what they do. So we have osteoblasts right underneath them. They're going to secrete their matrix where those chondrocytes were. That periosteal bud's going to come up and do its red bone marrow thing. So now we have spongy bone being formed. So basically it's the same process. Osteoblasts, matrix, red bone marrow. Osteoclasts are going to come back in, turn this stuff on the outside into compact bone, and then make the medullary cavity, expand the medullary cavity. So this right here, this is here. So what was cartilage has now become another template for this whole spongy bone process to then be made into compact. So there's my spongy bone being formed. Here's my compact being formed on the ends, or on the edges, and then that medullary cavity in the center. So we have this cartilage to this formation of bone. That is growth and length. I'll read it one more time. Okay, we have these epiphyseal plates made of cartilage. There's two sides, an epiphyseal and diaphyseal side to these plates. So the cells on the diaphyseal side are going to divide and push the plate away. After a while, these older cells deeper in the diaphysis will enlarge and die. We'll get this calcification occurring in spongy bone formation, how we already have been, and then osteoclasts will come and remodel that spongy bone to increase the amount of compact bone, and we'll also get that formation of the medullary cavity. If we want to grow in width, So I want to grow in width. I have my bone. And remember, I have this layer called a periosteum. And if you remember, that periosteum has both a fibrous periosteum as well as that osteogenic layer, that inner layer. So that inner layer of this periosteum is just going to divide. So we have some osteoblasts there. They're going to divide and secrete matrix. And that matrix is then going to become spongy bone. And then that spongy bone can be remodeled by osteoclasts into compact bone. So we'll just get this expansion of spongy bone out here, expansion of spongy bone out here, remodeling into compact bone, remodeling into compact bone. And then remember, if this bone is getting wider, this medullary cavity gets wider. So if it was like this, now as I expanded those, expanded the compact bone in width, I'm going to expand this medullary cavity as well. So osteoclasts are going to be responsible for both of those things. This changing of the spongy into compact as well as this expansion of the medullary cavity. Alright, so far we've formed bones through these processes of ossification, this intramembranous and this endochondral ossification. Then we showed how we can grow the length and the width of a bone. But even if you grow a bone in length and width, it doesn't have to stay that same length and width always. So we have this process of bone remodeling. Has these two, it can be divided into two parts.